When I tell people that I'm a Muslim feminist, they usually look at me like I'm some kind of brainless, smug, fat bitch. You're probably thinking the same thing too, right? Oh, let me guess. You want to give me a long list of accusations about the oppression of all women in Islam. Accusations which are, by the way, completely unsubstantiated. One of the principal misconceptions I hear from non-Muslims is that Sharia law supposedly advocates the death penalty for the so-called criminal offenses of adultery and homosexuality. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Think about it. If every gay man was thrown off of a roof for being gay, there'd be no gay men left on the planet. Oh, wait, let me check. Is Ricky Martin still alive? Yes, he is. So maybe you need to stop listening to the corrupt Jewish-owned Western media and actually study the facts about Islam. What if I were to tell you that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was in fact the first person in history to implement policies which, when correctly applied, would ensure full gender equality and human rights for all minorities? And no, I don't need to provide any sources from the Quran or the Sirah, because duh, if it wasn't true, then why would a feminist like me follow a religion that endorses the oppression of women? How the fuck would that make any sense? And anyway, my fingers are too fat to turn the pages properly. Let me just read you a couple of comments. Dear Amani, I've heard that under Sharia, a rape victim can be put to death for committing adultery. Of course, that is simply nonsensical. Sharia, when correctly applied at its most rigorous level, actually protects women by ensuring that rape is not even possible. How? Well, it's actually really simple. You see, the only time a woman can be left unaccompanied with a man outside of her immediate family is when she gets married, and in Islam she is obliged to consent to her husband every time he demands sex, which means, guess what? Duh, there is no such thing as rape in Islam. No rape. Doesn't that sound awesome to you? And as for this persistent misinformation about adulterous women being put to death under Sharia, let me explain something to ya. Before anybody can be charged with adultery, 4 eyewitnesses are required to testify. And if those testimonies contradict each other in any way, the case is thrown out and the witnesses receive 40 lashes each. Okay, let's think about what that means. Hypothetically speaking, let's say one day I meet a human being who is actually willing to have consensual sex with me, but we're not married. The only way our grotesque sexual liaison could be witnessed by 4 people is if we fucked each other in the middle of the street. And believe me, none of that is ever gonna happen. So, there is no punishment for adultery under Sharia. Doesn't that sound like amazingly progressive to you? Okay, here's another comment. Dear Amani, I'm a young unmarried woman living in Sudan. Last year, my uncle started sexually assaulting me. I told my parents, but they didn't believe me, so I went to the police, and they said that unless I can find 4 eyewitnesses, there's nothing they can do. Now I'm pregnant, and my uncle denies all responsibility. My pregnancy is evidence of premarital sex, and I'm due to be sentenced next week for the crime of adultery. What should I do? Okay, just because a few so-called Muslims have hijacked Sharia and interpreted it to suit their own political agendas, that does not mean that Islam is violent. Anyway, I have a question for you. Who told you that Muslim women are oppressed? Do I look oppressed to you? No, I look like an entitled westernized sack of shit, and I'm gonna tell you what I think, because in my brain, that is what Muslim women do best.